This is a very important editorial published in the Hindu newspaper on November 27th, 2021, related to National Family Health Survey. A close reading of this particular survey, the fifth version of this survey, and it basically reveals the health condition of India. It also tells you related to the socio-economic conditions and its contribution in the health sector of India. Now, this particular video is being prepared only for educational purposes, and we are not endorsing the, you can say, the copying pasting of the, the deep intensive research and contributions made by eminent authors with the Hindu newspaper. So, coming back to the editorial discussion, it starts with the line that the country really spends very less amount of money in health and education as compared to its GDP proportions. But the improvements that National Family Health Survey 5 is representing is commendable, is remarkable, which means author is very much optimistic that there are certain key indicators that tells us that the health sector has significantly improved. But what does the less expenditure in budget in the health sector or the education sector indicates? This is a provocative thing. Having said that, you see that National Family Health Survey does not only represents the health but also tells you about the demographic content, which means there are certain indicators that reveal about the population chart also. So the National Family Health Survey 5 has been released in two phases. All right, two phases, April 2021 and December 2020. And then author tells that the data of the National Family Health Survey 5 can be utilized for policy initiatives, as this data is very, very detailed, very comprehensive, and it tells you about the demographic trajectory as well as the health trajectory. Now, the responses that India received after the health survey was released was a mixed one. So it was a mixed verdict containing both of the cheers. I mean, people were happy, elated about this, but then there are also certain alarms. So it does not reveal you the mixed interpretations, but rather the positive as well as the negative aspects of this particular survey. Right. Now, this survey demands our worthy attention because it is not hastily put together, as I have already told you. It is a detailed and comprehensive analysis of the survey. Now, the positive aspect is this, that the population has stabilized, which is represented by total fertility rate. All right. And there are also certain improvements in certain dimensions such as educational attainment, institutional deliveries, vaccinations, infant mortality, and likewise. So a lot of new aspects have been included in National Family Health Survey 5 for this particular year also. Uh, but the author tells you that these all things are very, very important to note, because there is a very abysmal state of India's health structure. Infrastructure means that the health infrastructure is already in a very, very perilous condition in India, and it can be debated later on whether whatever these outcomes, positive outcomes, show you the good picture, or it still there exists a lot of area where work still needs to be done. I mean, that can be debated, but right now we can feel happy about whatever little achievements we have made so far. Now, the population stabilization basically tells you that there is around 2.1 total fertility rate, that is adult total fertility rate, which tells you that the exact amount of population shall be replaced. And we have improved as compared to last year National Family Health Survey. Last Previous National Family Health Survey 4, which was released somewhere around in 2015-16. All right. Now, the author also tells you in some of the areas, the author also tells you the fact that it would be improper to compare the National Family Health Survey 4 and National Family Health Survey 5 in terms of the rate of development, health development, where and how we are going to tell you. In this passage itself, the author has, in a very small scale, has criticized, indirectly, the coercive population policy, the population control policy. All right, calling it coercive, and it says that the total fertility rate does not justify the population policies. So also, author tells you that there is no proper evidence that can tell you that welfare support measures or holding elected offices are related to the number of children, which we saw in some of the states like Uttar Pradesh, that if you have more babies, more than three children, you could not be a part of public institutions, you cannot participate in political organizations, and likewise. So the author has very, you can say, in a very composite tone, it has he has criticized whatever he or she has criticized whatever certain states have been routing their policies through. Now, the sex ratio also shows significant signs of improvement, as it tells you that there are 120 adult women per 1000 men, which is significant improvement from 986 1000 ratio. All right. Now, this basically highlights you that India has started, to fast track the problems, finding the fast track solutions to the problems like the societal and cultural preference of son over a girl child, and also the menace of sex selective abortions. So this has been rectified, which means to an extent positive social outreach is there by the government, as well as social mindset is also very much accommodative now towards preferring girl children, and sex selective abortions are also, can be said that this menace is reducing in its amount. Now this is a very significant mains question that can appear from this particular treatise that we are studying, from this particular summary, that giving proper budgetary space to health and education is the only way to solve the social menace prevalent in India, critically comment. Now, as you know, that allocating budget is not everything. The amount of budget allocation though is very short, but it is the kind of implementation in that limited budget that has given fruitful results, all right, in changing the socio-economic scenario also. But we need more information to come to that conclusion. Howsoever, giving you a holistic picture, I would support that argument that budgetary allocation is one of the aspects. Even in limited budgets, you can effectuate proper implementation to reach a plausible outcome. Now, to meager, it says that to measure this, the key metric to examine would be the sex ratio at birth. To measure what? To measure the prevalence of sex selective abortions and comparing it with the adult sex ratio. So, this is again a very technical aspect of this editorial that tells you that if sex selective abortions have reduced, then naturally the ratio at birth, the ratio at birth would should not be masculine, because ultimately if sex ratio at birth is supportive towards more number of men as compared to women, you can say that this will ultimately be reflected over certain period of time into the adult sex ratio. But author also tells you that adult sex ratio takes into account a lot of other factors also. In that light, he highlights you that adult sex ratio might not adequately represent this issue of sex selective abortions, as that there is error. Issue of sex selective abortions means that adult sex ratio cannot tell you exactly about that sex selective abortions has reduced. As you know, there are more women as compared to men in adult sex ratio, whereas the sex ratio at birth still tells you there are 105 boys to 100 girls. So what is that happening? I mean, more males are getting born, but ultimately more women are existing in adult sex ratio. So what is that basic factor that is creating this discrepancy in the figures, and why sex ratio at birth is not represented in adult sex ratio? Now, author tells you that there can be twofold problems. First is that there is certain error in data collection, there is certain kind of undercounting that is prevalent, or there are other factors that determine adult sex ratio. For that, migrant male members are present, those during the survey were not present in the respective households. All right, so this is one of the aspects that has been highlighted over here. And basically it tells you the problem in the survey collection, data collection. So though you don't have to focus much, but these are the critical areas where competitive examinations might focus on you, to whether you are able to reach to this critical conclusion or not. All right, But if we come to anemia and malnutrition, this is a red zone still persisting in National Family Health Survey 5. And what are the causes of anemia? What is the problem of anemia? What is anemia exactly? We are going to discuss it at length. You don't have to worry about it. But WHO has also recognized anemia as a serious public health concerns, and there are many states in India which are under severe category. Also, there are three aspects of malnutrition. Three aspects of malnutrition. All right, and in that it has mentioned that though some states have done fairly well in stunting, but the issue of overweight has come to the fora, and malnutrition still is a problem because of lack of proper nutrition. So this basically can be studied at length. But if we talk about sex ratio at birth, you can see that problems what are associated with sex ratio at lowering sex ratio at birth tells you that there is a movement to small family size and persistent son preference. All right. Now, coming back to the anemia factor, since I told you that nutrition is an important aspect, it tells you that coercive nutritional policies also will lead to additional malnutrition, because there are certain states that are very much dependent for protein consumption on non-vegetarian diets, and you cannot expect a uniformity in the dietary choices, because dietary choices is not uniform in India. To an extent, dietary choices also represent the traditional aspects of our country. All right. So you can notice this, but unfortunately, or I can say this is very shocking to be reading and coming to the knowledge that coastal states that have a wide dependence on animal products are having highest presence of anemia. Now, anemia is caused by the deficiency of iron in hemoglobin. All right, and basically your RBCs are unable to take more oxygen from the lungs into the various organs, and you are feeling energy less, but which can also be rectified by usage of vitamin B12, consumption of vitamin B12 and folic acid. Now, vitamin B12 is basically sourced basically from animal products. Now, this is something to be basically thought about. Why is it so? So the author also tells you but that this can't be conducive as a revelation also, a conclusive revelation also, because 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 you see, author is telling you that there is a difference in the data revealed by phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 tells you that there is an increase in the instances of anemia, and practically phase 2 is silent about it. So whether in that span of time, like from December to April, whether in 4 months time these states were able to address the anemia issue, considering that lockdown was imposed in that same year, we cannot conclusively say so. I mean, this is what author is also telling you. All right. So author also tells you that the instances of clear differences between phase 1 and phase 2 also is reflected in malnutrition, that I have already told you. Now, there are certain areas that can be further looked into. So what are the problems? So we are going to discuss it. Deficiency of in India that causes anemia and contribute to anemia deficiency. Now, indicators of social health in India, basically this can be noted. So, total fertility rate, sex ratio at birth, gender ratio, that is adult sex ratio, infant mortality rate, anemia in men, women, and children, malnutrition, stunting, wasting, underweight. And this basically, these are the six indicators that reflect the social health of the society in India. And what are the issues associated with malnutrition in India? That can also be checked. So you can know, since poverty, poor maternal health, poor maternal nutrition, frequent illness, and inappropriate feeding can cause malnutrition in children also. And what are the schemes, measure, and ways to improve upon it? This has been consistently in news. We are going to read about it. Deficiency in micronutrition basically is a key factor, such as important vitamins and minerals, lack of proper drinking and sanitation. These all habits result in malnutrition also. These all habits result in proper maternal health also. So we are going to discuss that. Now, health issues need immediate attention, and addressing them will ensure better protection of India's future. Elucidate, as you know, children are the worst, affected segment of this population. So to ensure better protection of a better future. For a better future, you need to protect children in their present state. That has to be done by proper positive policy interventions and sufficient implementation, just full implementation, and adequate budgeting also. So these are the aspects that you can use your mind to reach to that conclusion. Let's move ahead. uh, Now the author also tell you that there is something being hidden in phase 1. There is incidence of malnutrition. In phase 2, there is reduction in malnutrition. Either it can be due to undercounting or overall improvement uniformly. Now overweight is worrisome. Consequence could be of overweight could be more incidence of non-communicable diseases like heart condition and diabetes, all right. So these all aspects have been discussed here. We have already discussed that. And now this author also tells you that that speed of progress has slowed. Some analysis have suggested the rate of progress has slowed down. The author has criticized this kind of reference because it tells you that from the gap between National Family Health Survey 3 and 4 is of 10 years, and between 4 and 5 is of 5 years. So you cannot expect whatever happened in the past 10 years, previous 15 years, that should be done within a span of 5 years also. So this kind of judgment on the rate of progress is not a proper approach to determine. Having said that, let us discuss what causes anemia. So it is basically caused by lack of folic acid, lack of iron. Now in India it is prevalent due to lack of adequate nutrition, for example vitamins and minerals. Now anemia basically is of two types, that is megaloblastic anemia and pernicious anemia. Pernicious anemia is due to inherent problems in your body, certain chronic diseases and everything. But megaloblastic anemia is usually impelled by lack of adequate nutrition. And so if vitamin B12 and folic acid content is not present in your diet, you will be likely to be suffering from anemia. So the first modern census that was conducted in British India was in 1881. That's an interesting fact. If we talk about National Family Health Survey, but we'll talk about it later, let us continue with the problem of anemia. Now, it's a blood related disorder. Lack of iron affects hemoglobin content in RBC, which this in turn affects the oxygen carrying content of RBC. Now, this increased in pregnant women, loss of blood, menstruation, and breastfeeding uh, causes pregnant women to suffer more prone to anemia, because they lose a lot of blood during menstruation also, and breastfeeding also takes away important you can say nutrients. So this impels the problem of anemia. It can also be caused by other problems such as gastrointestinal problem. Vitamin B12 is not being adequately produced in your stomach, or there is a recent surgery or kidney related issue. If we talk about vitamin B12, animal products are the chief source, for example dairy products and eggs. And dietary choices can basically help you in reducing the problem of anemia, because if you are a vegan and you consume dairy products, it is fine. And eating eggs is also fine. But that is what the author is telling you, that there cannot be uniformity of dietary choices across India. So you need to be very very worrisome about the kind of diets you have and how it is going to affect a pregnant woman, if any you have in a family. Now, aging also somehow increases the problem of anemia. So, if a woman at a later stage in her life is basically moving towards old age, is giving birth to a new baby, that will definitely lead to a weak baby. So, what are the government schemes to remove such problems? So there are n number of schemes where we can see that uh, poverty reduction is somehow indirectly related to socio-economic conditions of that rural and urban areas. And thus socioeconomic conditions also affects you the health conditions, also affects the health conditions. So we have integrated child development scheme, we have Pradhan Mantri Poshan Shakti Nirman, PM Poshan, that is National Nutrition Mission. Then we have Pradhan Mantri Matra Vandana Yojana, where loss of livelihood due to pregnancy, certain amount of compensation is paid. Janani Suraksha Yojana, keeping the proper care of pregnant women. National Health Mission, all right, rural health mission, urban health mission combined. Swachh Bharat mission, that ensures you can say sanitation and drinking water. And then there is public distribution system where proper nutrition and dietary supplements can be provided under ration card scheme, and MG Narega that ensures livelihood is secured, which will help you in buying proper food and taking care of health of women. So, what are the findings of National Family Health Survey 5? Before we come to this, let us read about National Family Health Survey. So, it is conducted under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and there are representative households are surveyed. So, around 670 districts are surveyed in this particular survey, and more than 1 lakh families have been participating in this survey. And it is basically conducted by IIPS. The data collection and management is done by International Institute for Population Science based in Mumbai. The funding is being released for this survey is by USAID and UNICEF. So USAID is United States Agency for International Development and United Nations Children Fund. All right. If we particularly talk about what are the years of 5 rounds of National Family Health Survey. Now National Family Health Survey 1, 1992-93, 2 in 1998-99, 3 in 2005, 6, 4 in 15-16, and 5 in 2021 as we see it now. So what is the basic findings of National Family Health Survey 5? So there are certain positive factors that we are going to discuss, which means the population stabilization of total fertility rate has reached to 2, which is called as replacement level fertility. Exact amount of population shall be replaced over coming years. Urban TFR stands at 1.6 and rural TFR stands as 2.1. Average is 2. Increase in the consumption of contraceptives have been found, which means that this is reflecting the positive effects of education, sex education, and family planning. Increase in the number of institutional births, which means that no more babies are being born in home. They are being born neither in private health institutions or public health institutions, thereby ensuring that proper care and attention can be given to the newborn baby if any condition exists that requires immediate health intervention. Now, decline in infant mortality rate is a very prominent one, which means that child care has been given important impetus by the government as well as the population also, as well as you can say institutions also that are there in the health sector. And there is improvement definitely in the adult sex ratio, which means a lot of hysteria around feminism can be spoofed right now, can be booked away, because number of women as per the survey is more as compared to number of males. Now, what are the worrisome indicators? We have already somehow discussed it at brief. Malnutrition, though slight improvement in stunting, but wasting, underweight, and overweight is a worrisome factor. Now, maternal health is also a cause of concern because there is instances of anemia and problem of overweight. Having said that, this was the overview of the editorial and important insights into National Family Health Survey 5, which will help you in your various competitive examinations if you understand the issue. Try to make your own notes out of it. Try to pause and read the editorial on the screen, and then you can listen to this particular video. So I'll see you guys in the next editorial analysis very soon. Take care.